Once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Southern Fried Podcast. All of our fans out there, and all you people out there at Cornbread Nation, man, we're glad to have you all with us tonight. And we are going to have a ball. I'm sorry, Mr. Dave's going to be just a little bit late getting here, and I'm trying to get everything set up. There we go. That should fix everything. There we go. So, I do want to put one thing up on the screen that I didn't, in honor of us having Mr. Gordon Rogers on here earlier today. Let's put this up there. Hi. We got it up here on the podcast, and it's up on several other streams out there and pages for some very common sense talking with Mr. Gordon Rogers earlier today in an interview that we did. And it was very informative. He is spot on so many things. So if you get a chance, go watch that one. It's a great interview. It's on our YouTube. It's on our Facebook. It's on the Stand Up Bainbridge Call to Action. It's all out there. So yeah, he is also known as the Flint River Keeper. So if you get a chance, look that page up and give him a follow, because he does a lot of work with that. The Flint River is very important here to all of Georgia and South Georgia, especially with our farmers. That's where all of our aquifers are fed from, and it's very important. And he does a lot of work with that. So y'all give him a follow over there with that, because he is doing a heap of work for South Georgia and every place that the Flint River feeds. All right. Well, we have a guest scheduled for tonight. I have not heard from him. I've been keeping an eye on my thing here, but hopefully he will be on soon, or send me a link or something, or an email or text. He's probably in touch with David. David set this one up. It's with our blacksmith buddy, and we are looking forward to having him on tonight. So hopefully that will be in just shortly. Well, it's Friday night. Y'all made it through the work week. Congratulations. Glad to have y'all here. Let's get ready for this weekend. I do have a little piece of news I want to throw out. Miss Carolyn Leavitt, I don't know how she says her name, will now be serving as the White House press secretary. At 27 years old, she'll be the youngest press secretary ever. So this ought to be very interesting. Uh-oh. Well, sir, Mr. Celtic Blacksmith, I tell you what, if you will send me an email at our Yahoo address, do you have that? It's right there on the screen. Southern Fried Podcast at Yahoo. And if you will include, if you have a Facebook page, that would be awesome. What I can do is I can send you a link through Messenger, and we'll get you right on here. How about that? If you can do that, I will get you set up and we'll get you on here. I'm looking forward to this. You can just send it to me, Robert Blevins. Be on Facebook as Robert S. Blevins. That would be awesome. I've been looking forward to you being on all week long. Uh, I kind of have a historical thing about blacksmithing and the innovations that they came up with, and yeah. So, but anyway, we're going to have the youngest press secretary ever. So that's going to be awesome, I think. Uh, you know, there have been some pigs that's catching some grief out there. So we're going to, from his cabinet picks, oh, there's a message from Dave. All right, Dave says it's in there. Well, let's go see if we can find it. Hubby. He said he is on his way, so he'll be here shortly. Uh, he was he was checking on some cryptid stuff. Sorry. All right. He said email sent. There he is. All right. Let's see here. If I just reply, and then I could be able to just do this and this, and down here, and do that. All right. It's coming right back to you, sir. Just that quick. Yes, sir. We got her, Mr. David. So the link is sent. So Mr. Stevens should be on here in just a second. He'll have to put his name in there and such as that, and what he does down at the bottom. So that'll take care of that. Yay. And who says I can't do technology? I can figure it out one way or the other. The talk went over a bit. Well, didn't you tell them you had something to do? My goodness. Yeah, that's when you just have to stand up, Dave. You got to stand up for yourself. Say, hey, look, you need to hurry this thing up. I got places to go and things to do and stuff like that. And my buddy Rob's counting. What the? He doesn't look near as good without me sitting up there beside him. How's he supposed to be the clickbait? My goodness. That's all right, though. We got this. It's rocking and rolling. So, uh, I was trying to look at some of this other stuff before Mr. Pond gets on. Yeah, John Bolton is slamming Trump's picks. Now, what in the world is this guy doing slamming anybody's picks? I mean, he was even picked up. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to get into that. That was horrible. Horrible. But me and Dave talked about this. We was kind of figuring that some of these last picks that he made were going to get hammered from all sides. But it is what it is. I mean, it's Trump's cabinet to pick now. They got to get them all through Congress. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Great setting. What? He went out to look at the cryptid stuff. Aha. Well, we got Half-Pound Forge on here. Looks like he's fixed to be ready to jump right in here feet first. I don't know where his camera's at. We'll see if he gets his camera turned on. Yes, if he uses the recess appointments. The only problem, Michael, let me put that up there. The only problem with that is both houses have to be, both sides of Congress has to be out at the same time. And that's going to be kind of, we'll see. We'll see. So, hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. You got me?
I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm working on that right now. I don't know what's going
Oh,
on with that.
oh, you just take your time. It'll be all right. We'll talk right along there. Everybody, this is Mr. Steve Pond. Did I say your name right? Well, I got something up there. Oh, he's coming. He's coming on the screen. Oh, oh. So he is a blacksmith. Man, I like blacksmith. I,
Yeah, this thing was having trouble loading up earlier today. I was testing it out on Rumble Studios just to make sure that everything was working all right.
okay.
And every time I tried to start it up, it would take its jolly old time firing up, good half, maybe 30, 40 seconds before it would even show me video.
Oh, wow. Wow. So, uh, well, I know David has a ton of questions for you, and I've got some too. But if you're still playing around with that thing, that's gonna, you
I'll
know.
have at it. I can multitask.
Oh, see, I can't do that. I have to do one thing at a time. Of course, I'm probably a little bit older than you are. Not by much, but a little bit.
I think I see what's going on.
What? Oh,
So I told it to use, there it goes.
there it goes.
Yeah, I told it to use my GoPro camera that I had rigged up, and it went and switched it right back to my FaceTime camera on my laptop. And I keep that covered with a piece of electrical tape at all times because of all the sneaky crap that they do with Silicon Valley.
Right.
They're always nosing about. So I figured, 0.00001 cents of tape. Just why not?
I don't blame you. I was thinking about, plugging mine up in the bathroom when I wasn't using it. I mean, if they want to pop in on that.
Oh, you'll end up in the FBI Christmas
Oh, yeah, I'm
video.
sure. Oh, so let me go ahead and ask you this. What got you into blacksmith?
Discovery Channel special on how the old Aztec tribes used to cast their gold. That got me
Okay.
interested in metal in general, and I still haven't even come around and looped back to that. I just keep finding other stuff to get into. But yeah, I caught that special on TV, and it sounded interesting to me, and one thing led to another. I ended up working at a steel forge. They use drop forging techniques.
Right.
And so I thought, well, that's, it's not casting, but it's close enough. Let's see what happens. And my absolute favorite part of that job was shaping the tongs, which
Oh,
was,
wow.
everybody else saw it as a chore, but I'm like, I get to heat up steel and, hammer it out manually without, I'm not just sticking it in a mold and then chopping it off. That's boring.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
in comparison anyway.
so you don't do much molding work then?
No, no, I would like to make up a couple of dies though for fun and strike a couple of coins. Just simple
Yeah.
stuff like a little smiley face or something.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And um, well, my interest in blacksmithing is more of a military type, from the ancient wars and stuff like that, the cavalry developments and stuff like that, where blacksmithing was, I mean, that was cutting edge just based on back in the day. So, but
Well, depending on what it is, I mean, blacksmithing itself is it hasn't been cutting edge in like 5,000 years, but
no,
um, it's amazing some of the technological advancements though when it comes to the trade. It's
yeah,
most people don't realize this, but all of it's really come out in the last couple hundred years. Like coal, they weren't using coal until what 18th 19th century.
yeah, yeah,
So,
it's a recent development on that. So, um, I'm a nerd, okay, and I guess you're like a buff nerd. because blacksmithing is. Nobody's going to call you a nerd if you get out there and swing a hammer for hours on a time.
No, especially when you're holding the hammer.
Yeah, they're not.
No.
You know me, I'm a little bit older now and broke down a little bit, and they're not thinking about calling me an old nerd, but it's fine. But just from the nerd aspect of it, I mean, there has the way they blacksmith has changed, you know, recently. But I mean, there for a long time, I mean, like when the Romans, the gladius, the Roman short sword, the foot soldiers, that was the thing at the time. And then when they started shifting over to cavalry, they figured out, hey, and stirrups came into being. That, hey, I could stand up on these stirrups and swing a much longer sword and get much more torque on it. That and the flail, which was just an iron ball attached to a chain on a handle. And I can stand up in this saddle and I can get a heck of a swing. But that was all innovations that came about, you know, like when the stirrups came out. But still, the blacksmithing moved up to casting the longer swords and such as that as well. So that in itself was so innovative at the time. So you don't make a whole lot of you don't make any swords at this point or anything like that. You're working on. Let's see. Dave told me is you're making like hooks for stuff like that, doing leaves. You've got some there. Show us what you're doing.
Oh, let's see here. Oh. This is just stuff that I've got laying around.
Show your work off.
Yeah, just little. This one. That one's off. That one's a little better. That's the dummy pile. That's the stuff that I did a few years ago that is not fit for sales. But, you know, just because of little stuff like this, you know, like it'll a couple of things will be a little uneven. But this is what's called a troll cross. These are used as like medallions or just stuff you hang in the, you know, outside of your workshop or your house or whatever. It's supposed to get rid of trolls. It's an old, like, supposedly a Nordic myth, but funny story about those. And it doesn't take away from you know, them being a neat little trinket because the shape itself is kind of satisfying. Right. But it turns out that those things never showed up in Nordic mythology. that was a development in like the 60s or something. Somebody was trying to sell some stuff and it was just a simple shape and they thought, oh, hey, this looks like Viking stuff. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, little stuff like this one right here. I just made this for myself and just never got around to hanging it. But just simple little, you know, twist and loop with a little penny scroll at the end. It's not it's a little dark in here, but oh, that's a little better. There we go.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, the twist itself it was so satisfying how uniform it came out all the way through. So
wow. I like that.
But yeah, little stuff like that's just the stuff I have in my office right now. But on my channel though, you can see I've got I think I'm up to a couple dozen videos now. I've made where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Yeah, my little bottle opener that I just made out, you know,
nice.
Impromptu out of nowhere. And this thing, this is such an uneven, just ham-handed piece of junk compared to what I could do. But I thought, you know what? I had a bottle that wasn't a twist off, and I thought, screw it. I'll head out to the shop and bang it out.
All right. Well, hang on just a second here. I want to get your web address for your shop. Up here on the scroll down here. Give me just a second here to get all this typed up. And let's see.
I got to get that troll cross back out. My favorite troll is in the chat right now.
Uh-oh. Is your troll following you?
Yeah. She's been up my ass trying to get me to make a sword for the past ever.
Oh, well, why didn't you make her a sword? My goodness. If it's troll, you may not want her to have a sword. She might be chasing you with it.
Right? I'm trying to keep this troll away. Be gone, troll.
Oh, what's your email address? Slowly.
halfpineforge@gmail.
Oh, okay. Well, that took all the fun out of it.
Yeah, it's not, Sexy Smith 2789 or whatever.
Let's see here. I can still spell Gmail. Can't spell .com, but I got the rest of it. All right, let's make sure we got this right here. Huh.
Yeah, there we go.
There. Did I get that on there right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So everybody, y'all go check him out and see what he's got. Let's see what the. Uh-oh.
Oh, you're talking about. I mean, if you just type in halfpineforge.com, that's my website. They can find me on there. And actually, the contact page on there will bring you straight to that email. So it kind of covers everything.
All right. Well, give me just a second. I'll go back through and I'll think.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that. I thought you might have been sending me something.
It's halfpineforge.com.
Yes, sir.
Watch this. I can quit it. I got this. I'm telling you, it's not going to whoop me. .com. Boom. Now all I got to do is just show it.
Yeah, I think I had some options to do stuff underneath my name, but I don't want to touch nothing lest I blow it up.
You're not going to blow this thing up. If it could have been blown up, I would have taken care of it.
I still can't believe that camera was working the whole time. The only reason it was black was because it was looking at a piece of tape.
Well, that sounds like something I would do. That's perfectly fine. So, Diva Dawn is your troll.
David Dawn is my most devoted troll.
Oh my goodness! So, being your most devoted troll out there, what is the meanest thing she's ever said to you?
Oh, good grief!
Remember, this show is family friendly.
So's mine, actually. This is the most I've sworn, and well, as far as my channel goes.
Oh, I bet when you're blacksmithing, you can swear every once in a while.
Oh, good God! You have no idea. I've come up with curse words that didn't even exist yet, my friend.
Amen, brother.
But no, she's a sweetheart. She's been a supporter of mine. I've known her since before I started the channel. So we would.
She's calling you out too.
She has her mean moments.
Oh,
she can't. She knows how. She was in the military. She knows how to be mean.
Oh yeah. All right. So were you in the military?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, that was thanks, Obama. I was gonna enlist 3 times. First 2 times I chickened out. I thought, I don't want to commit that much. It wasn't even like a wartime thing because I was going to join the Navy. Yeah. But I'm like, 4 years of my life. Oh my God, I'm going to be 22 when I get out. Oh, that's just, I'll be ancient. So I chickened out those 2 times. And then finally the 3rd time I thought, you know what? I'm doing it. This is what I want to do. I want to jumpstart on my adult life. So I got a hold of the recruiter and I'm serious this time. And we got all the paperwork set up. We were going through 3-4 months or so of this, just this back and forth, getting all our ducks in a row. Finally, it was the call to make the arrangements to go start signing papers, to sign the next 4 years of my life away. So he was calling to make that appointment, and he stopped and said, "Oh, wait a minute. You have your diploma, right?" I said, "No." Mm-hmm. We talked about this when we first started this a few months ago. I said, "I have my GED." He goes, "Oh." That they had just passed something where if you had a GED, you had to have 16 credit hours of college on top of it before they let you in. So
I had that role when I was in.
yeah, so I took my drinking career to professional instead. So
Okay. Well, you know, depending upon where you're stationed at, you can be a professional drinker in the Navy as well.
yeah, I would have gotten to the pro circuit earlier that way.
Oh my goodness, I gotta send Dave a link. Why don't? So he must be home now. We could talk about. Hey, do me a favor.
What's that?
When he gets on here, make sure you let him know that I'm the clickbait,
That
not him.
you're the clickbait.
That's right, not him. He makes me. Uh, and by the way, when you eat biscuit and gravy, do you break it in half or crumble it?
You always break it in half.
Okay. Make sure you let Dave know that.
Yeah, it's like a little mini pizza that way, you know. But you don't eat it with your hand. You just take off a
Right.
slice at a time.
Right. And you know, biscuits are made from flour and you put flour in gravy. So if you like crumpling your biscuits to go under your gravy, then you just like lumpy gravy.
Yeah, that's not even sausage gravy and biscuits at that point. That's a stew.
Thank you. I told him only women did that and him. All right, Dave, your link is sent, dude. I don't know if you can hear me or not. I'm
I
hoping
was, I was just gonna say, I wonder if he heard that.
he might very well. I mean, he might be listening in on his phone or something like that. And that may very well be the case. So he may have heard us discussing his womanly habits of tearing his biscuit and crumbling it up. Oh, yep, there he is. So, uh, there is Dave.
I made it finally.
You made it.
We've been waiting on you, Dave.
Well, I've
Yeah.
been listening. I know you've been waiting, but I have been listening, driving through the dark back roads of from a state park. But glad to have you on, man. I've been appreciate you coming on, and
Absolutely.
I've enjoyed the conversation so far. I missed just a little bit, but uh, thanks for being here and thanks for what you do. I think that's very cool. I know you said something about wanting to get mobile with your forge, I guess, and be able to move around and do maybe some shows or something. Is that something you'd like to do?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I picked up one of those. I picked up one of those 4 foot by 8 foot, top of the line Harbor Freight trailers, and hopefully I can get some decking on that this winter and get that rigged up. But I have a whole layout figured out in my head. I just got to put it on paper and then make it a reality.
Cool. What's the cool thing about doing what you do is you can make things come to reality quicker than
Oh yeah,
just just putting it out there. But I think now I saw on your web page or your store, I guess. I think you do like four different things, or at least that's what's up there. You may have some more, but
yeah. It's the store's a little anemic right now. It's been slow going. I have
yeah,
when you have the forge itself plus a full-time job plus maintaining my house and all the yard
I
work
know.
and the website and and my Rumble channel, so all of that piled onto one, it's I'm doing all of it myself. I mean, the videos, obviously, the shooting, all the content is me, all the editing is all me. um
I get it, man. We feel your pain.
yeah, it's just
There's a lot that has to happen for shows to happen, and to get somebody says, "Hey, I got a great idea," then you're thinking of all the work that it would take to get that done, and where do you find time to do it.
oh, absolutely.
So
I did a podcast with Daramuth. He's a Rumble channel. He's 500-600 followers or so.
yeah,
Decent guy though. His whole spiel is that he wants to feature smaller channels like myself and give us a boost into his following.
that's
And
cool.
one of his followers in the chat asked me, said, "Hey, can you make a horseshoe for me to hang over my doorway?" and and Daramuth was already talking at the time when I read that chat, and so I was listening to Daramuth until that guy asked that question. Then my brain started firing on exactly what process I would do, and in what order. And Daramuth just turned into Charlie Bound's teacher after that, just wop 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 wop. Like,
I hear you. But yeah,
So I don't know if my question went through to your biggest troll out there, Diva Dawn. She said all this yapping is taking time away from my sword.
Oh no,
Uh,
it wouldn't have. It looks like you sent it on YouTube, Twitch, and
and it
Facebook.
don't look like it went over to her. So I'm going to ask her, what kind of sword do you want him to make for you? Yeah. If we're going to have the biggest troll in here, we got to have some information here.
She's lucky I haven't just flattened a coat hanger or something and shipped that off to her. Close enough. You didn't tell me I had to be good sword.
You could go buy her a $2 pocket knife and beat it down to nothing and send it to her. So there you go.
That's right.
Of course,
one of the things I like that you said on your bio and kind of how you got going. I heard Rob ask you, what got you into it, and you kind of mentioned that. But and I don't remember the gentleman's name that you went to, and he basically put you through the paces of what it meant to do it. And I remember the line that it said something about, I was surprised that I showed up the next day, and I think he was too, or something like that. I guess the first day was
Oh
tough.
yeah. Yeah, Clar Butcher. He's a character. I wish I could have sent him the link to this, but he just figured out flip phones not too long ago, so I don't I don't want to stress too much.
I
He's
understand.
a great guy though, man. If you can imagine a man that looks like Tommy Chong, sounds like Tommy Chong, laughs like Tommy Chong, sings like Bob Dylan, actually. But this dude, like every time, he wouldn't call me Steve-O, he'd call me Steve-O man. Every time I answered the phone, hey Steve-O man.
oh,
Yeah,
well,
I got to get a hold of him though. I told him I'd
yeah,
have him up to my shop a couple of months ago, and I never followed up with him.
we need to get him on the show and y'all two going together. I'd do it just to hear him say,
Oh man.
"Oh man."
Well, I told him that we should do, so I've been thinking about starting into doing live work videos, like live streaming my work.
Yeah.
Just when I'm just bebopping around the shop, not when I have like a mission in mind, because 90% of my videos, what you see is the first time of me trying that. There's none of this, oh, I've practiced this a billion times so that I get to look like an expert in front of all of my adoring fans. No, this is, you get to see warts and all. And for the sake of streamlining the process, I leave like bloopers and stuff at the end. It's the stuff that's too interruptive of the flow of the video. But I remember the Thor. I did a little Thor's hammer pendant, and it took me 2 videos to get that right. I ended up the first one I gave up, and I had to move over to doing a Troll's Cross instead, something I had done before.
Yeah.
But that's because I tried that Thor's hammer, and it fractured at a really nasty spot. I couldn't quite get it right, and so I thought, you know what? I'll leave that in I'll show people that this is the way it is. This is not forged in fire. We're not perfect every time. We screw stuff up all the time, and like I said, it was my first time doing that particular design, and even the second video that I did, I screwed it up again. So
Well,
I did. Third
me and
time's the
Dave
charm on that.
focus on a lot of live stuff. And, I mean, we're like experts. I mean, we like never mess up at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We just celebrate those mess ups.
Yeah, we just
We
keep
laugh at
rolling.
each other and keep right on going.
Well, I think there's a realism there, when people do see that. And, when they do show you the beginning and then they flip to the very end after they've done it, 50 times, you miss out because in the fails is the learning. I mean, that's how you learn and
Right.
get better at anything is not doing it exactly right. Like the leaf you do. I mean, that's how long did it take you to kind of get that down where you kind of feel good about it? Because there's a lot. Looks like it'd be kind of it looks a little complicated to me, honestly, the way
Yeah.
it looks.
Yeah. Funny you should mention that. This is, and I got to make sure because people are getting all super ninja assassin-y these days on the internet. They could like copy your keys just from looking at it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
this
yeah.
is, I keep this on my keychain all the time. This is the first time that I ever got it just right, exactly how I wanted it. And so I kept it for myself. This is actually the one that I used as my model for the pictures for the listing on my store. But the process itself, and I cover that in one of my, I think it was my fifth or sixth video or something that I put out, was featuring that keychain, the leaf keychain.
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh,
gonna
there-
make a horseshoe so much harder just because of that. Um, but in the video you could see the process of how it how it gets shaped out. Now that one wasn't my first time. I've done 100 leaves before that video.
Okay.
wow.
I'll definitely go watch it because I find that interesting. I really, really do.
Yeah, that one's tricky. See, there's some things that I could just look at it and go, okay, I would do it this way, that way, and this way, and I could replicate it for the most part, just out of just memory. My last video, that's that spooky candle holder. That one was pretty much off of just memory from a video I saw like 2 weeks prior. Um, the leaf pendant though, that's a whole different story. There's some fancy metal moving you got to do there
Yeah.
that I never would have thought of.
Do you have any of those moments? I know I think of mechanics or something. Do you ever have any moments where the tool gets thrown, like you're just so frustrated?
I did, and I actually just got a new tool not too long ago that almost looks like it was designed to be thrown.
He said
This is
he makes inventive curse words too while he's doing that.
yeah, that's my new this is my new hot cut, made by Brandon Deering. There's this touch mark right there that you can't really see worth a crap. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one of his hammers in one of my videos, and oh my god, his work is expensive because it's all handmade. It's all good quality stuff. But oh my god, it felt like I'd never held a hammer before in my life using that thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I was telling you,
Now,
go ahead, Rob.
Diva Don, I know you're his biggest troll and everything. But don't get on him too hard about wanting to go in the Navy. All right, I was in the Navy. I'm a sailor.
Oh
Don't
boy,
get on him too hard now. What were you in the Army? He promised
I
to make you a
I
swordsman.
made no such promise.
Now, with
I
you in
made no such promise.
Army, okay, Diva Don, I'm gonna come to his rescue here. You know what Army stands for, right?
Oh, I haven't heard this yet. This is gonna be good.
You ready? Aren't real Marines yet.
Oh, that's cold.
My dad was in the Marines, and I heard him tell an Army guy that one day when he called him a jarhead. So, it was at the breakfast at the Waffle House. Actually, it was at Cochran's truck stop. Dave knows where that is.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. My
Absolutely.
my my dad was in the Navy in the '60s
Oh,
during Vietnam. So that was the inspiration. I figured out of all four branches. I figured might as well go with the one that's in the family already.
oh yeah. Now,
Um,
David, you go ahead and you can dish it back to me. I can take it as well as dishing it out. So, come on, don't stop saying stuff now. I didn't mean to scare you off because I know now you're in there kicking the wall, thinking about, I ain't even a Marine yet. So it'd be okay. Here we go. Let's see.
Self-propelled sandbags.
No, it means aren't ready to be Marines yet. Marines are self-propelled sandbags. Um, well, so you aren't ready to be a Marine yet. You're just not man enough for it. It'd be okay, sweetie. It'd be okay. I
Yeah,
mean,
my dad runs a tractor parts store. He gets a lot of old timers in that have been in all the other branches, and so listening to them bounce back and forth is just
oh yeah.
he'll call. He's got a buddy of his was in the Marines. He calls him a seagoing bellhop.
Well, you know why Navy guys let Marines on their ships, right?
What's that?
Well, we have to have somebody to follow us when we dance.
Well, see, I wanted to. My dad was. I don't even know what it was specifically that he did. I wanted to be a SWCC though, SWCC, a Special Warfare Combatant Craft Crewman.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that was a mouthful. Because I grew up idolizing the Navy SEALs, but I knew I couldn't cut it as a Navy SEAL. I knew in my heart of hearts there's no way I could make it as a Navy SEAL, but I could be their Uber driver
There you
and
go.
take them
Yeah.
to and from their karate classes.
Yeah. I like the way you think.
But that's what those guys are, though. The SWCCs, that's what they do. They're on those. There's those guys on those little rubber dinghies with the Mark 19 grenade launcher on the back
Yeah.
and the 50 cal in the front. That's those guys.
Uh,
That's what I wanted to do.
Now, I told her to go ahead and fire back.
Okay, that one's good.
Well, that only depends on if we have 50 Marines on there. That's the only way you can come back with 50 couples out of 100 guys on ship. You got to have 50 Marines there too.
So how long have you had your Rumble channel?
Well, I've had my account for a couple of years now because most people are amateurs at crastinating, and I'm a professional. So
I'm like, remember that.
It always takes a second for the grinds to mesh in people's.
Yeah.
But yeah, back in March, I started actually putting stuff on the channel, and I hit the ground running, man. I was doing a video a week, which would take a couple hours in the shop and then 4 or 5 hours of just editing.
Yeah.
Until my eyes were going crossed looking at the computer screen. And
y'all give me just a second. Y'all keep going. I'm listening.
Yeah, better, man. But yeah, that was that. I went a video a week for. I think I made it all the way to July.
Yeah.
So, I think it was about 2.5 months or so of a video every week, and then I started to stumble. You run into the dishes started to pile about yay high in the kitchen,
yeah.
and everything else started falling apart. My grass was starting to get so long, monkeys were swinging in and out of it. So
I know. So sometimes it can get there's just a lot to be done depending on what you're wanting to do, and even though we do a lot of lives and we're it'll go straight into a lot of our streams. There's still streams that we have to download and upload, and and there's not it's just differences because we're doing across a lot of different things. We're not just doing one, but we're just seeing what works best for us. So we just kind of jumped all in there. But we've had folks do a lot for us, and they're not currently working with us, but they were a real blessing, came along at the right time and created a lot of stuff for us just to be a help, and it was a real blessing. But yeah, anything somebody does, but when it helps, but when it's just you, I mean that's a lot.
Mhm.
That's a lot to like you say, you got life things, you got things you got to do, you got a job, and it can be all consuming. You have to really manage it out. But sometimes I do really good at that, and sometimes I don't. But I try to stay on a kind of a track. My family's real supportive, and if I'm not recording or not going live, they wonder what's up. I mean, they're so used to it now
Hmm.
that it's just something that we do. And it was sometimes like tonight, you're trying to fit a couple of things in, and they were a little bit late getting started at the other thing I wanted to do. It just fell the same night, and I thought, well, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but it ended up working out. I got some really good video. We'll get a program out of it. It's really cool. But yeah, you're always thinking ahead about that stuff. And so, what would you say if somebody was going to do, just an estimate? Somebody said, I want to start doing something like that. Because I was asked this once when I went into Civil War reenacting, and I had the question myself: how much just to get started to do the basic stuff? I mean, because I'm not saying everything has to be new. A lot of times you're buying stuff, but what does it take for somebody to do that might be listening and say, I'd like to kind of dabble with that and maybe see if I'm interested, but I don't want to pour the bank into it yet. What would they have to have just bare minimum about, just estimate? Don't have to nail it down to the dollar, but what would you say from your experience?
Well, it depends on how good you want it, obviously.
Yeah.
You could oh boy, you could easily go out and spend 3 grand and over. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of blacksmithing tool manufacturers and suppliers that have starter kits, and they have them in
Okay.
different levels. Some of them have like 6 or 7 different tiers of equipment, anywhere from $300 or so all the way up to 5-6 thousand, depending on the equipment that you want. Um, black, Blacksmithing is kind of like a working engine. So with a working engine, obviously you need spark, you need fuel, you need air. So it's pretty much the same with blacksmithing. You need heat, you need something to beat it with, and you need to have something to beat it against.
Yeah.
So with heat, you could use a MAP gas torch with some, thinner steel, or an oxyacetylene torch. My forge runs off of propane, so
Yeah.
it's not the fuel per se with my forge. It's the liner. It's the way the refractory liner works
Yeah.
that gets those extreme temperatures. So you could use like a Burns-O-Matic in a pinch. It's not going to be the greatest, but you could use it. You could use anywhere all the way down to a campfire, as long as you had proper airflow, getting that fire hot enough.
Yeah.
As far as a hammer goes, I mean, you could pick up a ball peen at any flea market for $1 or $2, or garage sale or whatever, and for something to beat it against. I've seen people use rocks just for the hell of it, because you got to remember, back when this trade started, 3, 4, 5 thousand years ago, they couldn't just go on to centaurforge.com and
Yeah.
find a nice you know drop forged steel anvil and have it ordered up, and the FedEx guy come out and drop it up for you,
Yeah.
or the UPS guy. Tim, if you're
Yeah.
watching, sorry about your back. Our UPS guy uh, just
Oh
about had
man.
a blowout moving my anvil in.
Oh man.
He had
I bet
a
he loves you.
he had a bad back to start with, and I feel I feel so bad.
Oh man. But
He
yeah,
was
imagine. Oh, go ahead.
well, I was going to tell you this story. My dad was because I just had it shipped to my dad's store, and I said, "Hey, look, when the UPS guy shows up, because we had the same guy for like 15 years. I said, hey, when he shows up, let him know my anvil's going to be in tomorrow, and it's 112 pounds. So make sure to have a dolly around so you can help him, so he doesn't screw his back up." And my dad said, okay, yeah, sure. He told me a story the next day. He said he saw the UPS truck pull in, and he took a sip of his coffee, and he got up and he wandered out there. By the time he got out the door, this guy already had it in his hands, and he was already waddling towards the door going, where do you want it? Where do you want it? Where do you want it?
Oh man.
So
We yeah. We had a guy once come out to work on a window unit air conditioner under warranty, and the guy's back went out as he was. I was helping him. You can't do that by yourself, but I was helping him, and his back went out. We got it down. We had it in our hands, so we got it down to the ground, and he just had to lay in the floor, and I had to help him call like his uh, call into his shop, and they sent a guy out there, and he got him up, and he was able to. He actually, once he got in the vehicle, he was just going to drive himself to wherever he was going to get looked at, and his wife was going to meet him there. Then that guy helped finish the job, and this guy's back went out. He's so embarrassed. He said, "I'm sorry." He said, "This hasn't happened in a long time." He said, "I just caught it just right," and he just started going down. I'm like, "This ain't normal." I was like, "Oh my goodness, what's going on here?" But yeah, you just talked about those starter kits, and I imagine if you looked around, you could probably somebody that's upgraded. They've got the starter kit, but they're wanting to get better, and you could probably buy the starter kit off of somebody, at least parts of it anyway.
So the best time to get into it was probably a few years ago, but it's still ripe for the picking. So when Forged in Fire came out, that everybody started watching that show.
Yeah.
Everybody got all fired up about it. No pun intended.
Yeah.
But they'd see the show, they'd get all excited about all the knives and swords and all the cool stuff, and they'd go, "Oh, I want to do that. That looks like so much fun." And then they would order all this stuff, and they'd have it all shipped out and whatever. All the people who could afford to do such a thing. And then they'd take a couple swings at it and realize that it was actually work, and they weren't having that. And so they'd sell it off for pennies on the dollar, which is where I would come in.
Yeah.
So you could get some fairly cheap stuff. You just got to find somebody who was preferably somebody that's a bit of an optimist, especially if they kind of got noodle arms. Find somebody that wouldn't be able to hack it.
Yeah.
She is on you, sir.
Oh my God, is this thing creaking? This thing's actually the better chair.
Oh, here's the comments she made too.
I can't
By the way,
believe
if Army stands for aren't ready to be Marines yet, then you must know that Marine stands for muscles are required, intelligence not essential. All I know is what Navy stands for. Navy stands for never again volunteer yourself.
There's I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Fat Electrician, but he's got a YouTube channel. He's up there though. He's one of those bigger channels, and he's some of the military jokes he's got. When he's talking about some of these Bombay operators in like World War II, he said these guys are like professionals at putting warheads on foreheads.
Yeah.
So what was the other one? The acronym for STEAL. It was strategically transfer equipment to an alternate location.
I think I've heard that one before. Yeah.
And
I like it.
That Marines, when you take out their chain of command, they will always default to violence.
I could see that. Yeah.
She's got me sitting stark still now. I don't want to creak my chair.
Nah, you're good. You're good. It
You're
just
fine.
gives
Don't
it
worry
flair.
about that creaking chair.
We've had
Not bothering us
all
too
kinds of
much.
noises.
Yeah, it's not bothering us too much.
No, we're good. Robert's head makes noises sometimes when he's trying to figure something out, so I'm used to it. So.
Is it whenever he moves his head back and forth? Or?
Yeah, well, that too. It kind of creaks,
Yeah, that's my neck. It's not my head.
Especially, well, but you stuck your head in the camera and go chupacabra and all that,
Well, Dave is all about the chupacabra, aren't you, Dave?
Well, I heard a little bit about the chupacabra tonight from the Cherokee side of things, so we'll get into that another time. But I did hear that phrase a couple times tonight.
Dave thought I was just making up a word the first time I mentioned the chupacabra. You made that word up. No, it didn't.
Well, because you've made up so many words over the years. So
wait until he finds out about the jackalope.
Yeah.
Or what was the other one? That's down in your guys' neck of the woods. The Wendigo. Wendigo? Is that
Wendigo.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, the half wolf, half man. That's over in Louisiana.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought that was more of like a northern Appalachia.
I really don't know. It might be. I mean, look at Dave. I mean, you got to explain somehow. You're welcome, Dave. You know I love you. What got me was he made the comment to me earlier today that people thought we were brothers. And we're brothers in Christ, but my goodness,
I could see it.
what? Uh,
You're stuck with me.
that's not very nice.
How did Steve? How did you come up with the name the Half Pine Forge? Where'd that come from?
Well, that took all of 5 seconds to figure out. So there's, I actually remember too. I was leaning against the threshold of my shop, and this was way back. This is before I even started the Rumble channel, and at first I had thought of Polaris Ironworks. Polaris, the North Star.
Yeah.
It didn't really have too much meaning to me, but I thought it sounded catchy, and
Yeah.
I started coming up with kind of slogans and stuff here and there. But this was 5-6 years ago or so that I thought this up. And so as I was procrastinating, I over the years, finally I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get this started. This is when I thought of around the time I thought of Half Pine Forge. I thought, you know what? It's time to get started. Let's get this going. It's time to revive, Polaris Ironworks. Let's check it out. And so just to double check, I wanted to make sure that I was, exclusive with the name, because it's not like I set it up with, copyright or anything. So I just did a quick Google search, and wouldn't you believe it, somebody stole the name.
Oh.
And I didn't have any rights to it because it's not like I registered it. It wasn't, published or anything. So yeah, they swiped it right out from under me. So I'm in the shop bouncing around and trying to think up ideas. And I thought, God, how am I going to, I get so finicky about things. I want everything to be just perfect. And so I'm leaning against the threshold of my shop and I'm just glancing around my yard and I have this half of a pine tree. It's literally just this 100-foot monster of a pine tree with branches only on half of it because there was a tree growing alongside it. So you know how sometimes it won't grow on that side. Well, the previous owners of the house chopped that other tree down. So now it's just this awkward looking like pine flag of a profile. Yeah. And and the way the logo is exactly how I would have seen it that day. I'm just looking at it and it's branching off to the left. And I thought, there's a half a pine in front of my forge.
Okay.
So like I said, all of 5 seconds, and I thought, God, that's catchy.
I like it.
My only concern was that people would confuse it for half pint. But thankfully that hasn't happened. Well, now it's gonna. Now that I open my big mouth.
Oh no. Eva Dawn's done got you again here.
That okay, you asked before what was the meanest thing she said to me? Real time, we're seeing it right now.
So she's saying you didn't think to name it Half Brain Forge. Oh. Well, if you had a whole brain, maybe you might have named it Half Brain. I don't know. I'm just
it rattles around. It rattles around up there when I head back.
Oh, mine does. That's that rattling sound Dave was complaining about that I'd have. It's my marbles.
And that's cool. I mean, I appreciate you sharing that story. And when you read people's stories, that's what we like. We like to tell people's stories. That's what we let them tell their story. But if you read about people's story, and you could think of bands or whoever, and how they came up with their name, every big one, you think they'd put a lot of thought into it. They probably went through 3,000 names, but it all came some way like that. Just one day they looked at something, heard something, boom, there it was.
ZZ Top, they came up with their name because they wanted to They wanted to name it after ZZ Hill, I think. But they were thinking, okay, what about ZZ King? We're going to be the royalty of blues or whatever. So what about ZZ King? But it sounded too much like BB King.
Yeah.
And so they thought, well, who's the king? He's on the top. Okay, ZZ Top. And they ran with it.
Wow.
And that actually is a true story.
Yeah, it's amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just, they will try that, and sometimes you think of, marketers and everything and how they come up with stuff, and sometimes there's lots of money poured into that, and sometimes that big sounding name just doesn't really make it, and somebody just comes along and has a story like that, and then it's like a marriage made in heaven. It's really quite amazing how stuff like that happens. Or like you said, like you went to go grab the name and it's already taken,
Mm-hmm.
and you would have went down that path, but you didn't, and then boom, there it is, and it was right there growing. I mean, right there, all those years, however
Literally.
long. Yeah, I mean, it was right there for you to look up and see. I just think that is so cool when you think of stuff like that, or we hear
Yeah, I
stories like that.
guess I never thought of it like that. But yeah, that the name was waiting for me. It was getting ready for me for the last 60 years or so.
I find that truly amazing, and that's part of your story of this, and how when you look back and how where you're at now, and it gives it to me. It gives it more. I mean, the other name's cool, no doubt, but this kind of gives it just has that personal touch that is even better to me.
Now,
So
I did have ideas for like slogans and stuff to go with Polaris Ironworks, and I think they're so clever. I wish I could say them, but I don't want to, just in case whoever took that name. I don't want to give them anything.
I don't blame you.
Well,
I don't blame you. You
well,
know, uh,
years ago, there was a fish store that started up in Rossville, Georgia,
Okay.
and they sold aquatic fish.
As
And
opposed to the mammal fish, the
yeah,
mammalian ones. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like going to fish
That's
tanks and stuff. So, and that was me and a good friend of mine, and so we had to come up with a name. And so we sat around for I think 2 weeks trying to figure out the correct name. I don't know if you know Rossville, Georgia that well, but back in that time there were several mini bars up and down the strip there in Rossville. So we named it Get Tanked. And so yeah, there was a lot of people that called theirs thinking it was a bar at first, but that's how we all rolled back in.
or
sounds
like
like the sounds like the Bourbon Street of Georgia.
So, hey, look here, she's not picking on you this time.
Well, now you said something.
Oh, oh,
She's You got to get her started all over again.
oh, well, we ain't, we want you to feel at home here. So, I mean, but yeah,
but you take like sometimes it was even a song, and how some things like that come about. And I'm sure I've read hundreds of these, but the one that I always remember is the Allman Brothers, and they
Hmm.
had the song Elizabeth, but they didn't have a name. They had it, but it was not there. They just couldn't quite get it. He was in a grocery store, and he heard a lady call her daughter out, and somehow when she said that, it rung, it just hit him, and he runs up to her and he thanks her. He said, that's it. He probably thinks he's a nut, but
Right.
that like what do you mean? He's like, I can't thank you enough, and she didn't know that one thing, she became part, of something that was, stays big to today. I mean, that's one of their most famous songs, and I just I don't know if she ever realized that. I don't think he ever saw her again, but I just wonder if she realized that later on, like, hey, wait a minute, I think I met that guy, and put two and two
Well,
together. And he said that in his autobiography, and I don't know if she may have never known that, but the things you say. So yeah, you're right. Maybe don't say those slogans because you may be giving away some really cool free stuff. Somebody goes, hey, that's a good idea.
I wish
Yeah.
I'd thought of that, but I'm
Yeah,
doing
no,
it now.
none of that. It's going to the grave with me.
Where would
I
you
think
see
one of the
yourself in a few
go ahead.
years? Like, what is your uh, if you say 5 years down the road, if you didn't procrastinate and you said, I've got a mission, I've got a plan. Had to throw that in there because you said it. But where would you like to be with this? What do you see? Is it about where it's at? Is it just a hobby, or do you get
Oh
the
no,
global thing? Or
no, I'd definitely like to bring this further. Um, I'd like to eventually, well, okay. So a lot of people they get this mentality. They say, "Oh, I'd love to work for myself." My parents. I was raised in this environment because they started their own business. Back when I was just a twinkle in my daddy's eye, and so I saw firsthand growing up the management side of owning a business,
yeah,
and so these people always told my mom, they said, "Oh, that's great, you own your own business. You get to pick your own hours." And my mom said, "Yep, I could work the first 12 hours of the day or the second 12."
yeah,
So I understood, like, it's no joke. So when I say I want to, turn this thing into an actual business, I think that's why I procrastinate, is because I know how much work has to go into it, and it's like I don't know if I'm quite ready to commit because the customer side of things, you ruin that reputation so fast.
yeah,
If you get an order for something, now right now I have on pretty much all of, I can't even remember the timeline. Pretty much all of my items, I think it's 2 weeks. I say to allow a 2 week lead time for shipping, where I could get it done, that day and ship it out the next morning. I could. However, that's under ideal circumstances. If a piece of the space shuttle comes down and crashes through half my shop, it's going to take me a little while longer. And I don't want to, I'd rather account for that stuff ahead of time. So I'd rather have people be pleasantly surprised than ruin their expectations. So I don't want to jump into it too fast. I
yeah,
want
yeah.
to ease into it because otherwise I might bite more than I can chew off and, end up screwing myself.
I remember a couple of stories too, where people at that point where they were still working the full-time job, and they were doing the thing that they love to do at night and weekends and whenever they had a day off. And it's always that point where you have to make a decision. Usually you come to a fork in the road because you can't keep doing both, and that's where people get to. It just grows so much. You're like, okay, I've got to make a decision now, and that's where they turn the keys into the job or their notice in or whatever. But one of the people that I heard that from was the guy who started the rock band Boston, and
Good
he
man.
had his day job. He realized, I mean, it came a point where, I mean, he's doing both. He's still going to the day job, and he's recording that first, classic album. And when he first heard it on the first song, the single on the radio, and they had attained, I think it was 200,000 album sales. He said that was the moment that he knew, I'm now a full-time musician. And he went in and he said it was still scary, because you're thinking, okay, wow. But he went and said, I've got to leave this job. I like the job, but this is what I do now. And because he didn't look back, but those are, there's always that time, and it just, everybody's got to figure that out for themselves. But yeah, and just dive in. There's a guy. Well, in fact, the gentleman we had on, Rob from Three Ravens,
Yes.
remember he said he is, you know, he still works, and the job has gotten kind of a little bit complicated now, and it's intruding on his, what he does with the publishing and all. And he says it's time to look for another job, or at some point, this is what I'm going to be doing. But I've heard that from many. They'll spend several years building something, and at some point, okay, it's time to dive in, you
Hmm.
which is scary. But
Yeah, I mean
uh,
that it helps that I oops. It helps that I absolutely love my job. Right
Yeah.
now, I'm a manual machinist, working for a fixture cage at a local factory, and it's a fairly big name factory, so it's the job stability is there, and it's working with metal. I mean, it's doing. I was
Yeah.
practically raised in my dad's machine shop for my parents' business, and so the stuff's in my blood, just working
That's
with it. And
great.
so I've been learning this stuff since I was knee high to a duck.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, they always
Some
say
of it
if you,
actually stuck too.
yeah, they always say if you go do what that you love to do, it's not a job anyway. It's,
Yeah, you never
it,
work a day in your life.
yeah, you never work a day. So,
It's still work because I have to deal with engineers every day. But it's I'll tell you what, those are the dumbest smart people I've ever seen in my life.
Give me 1 second, guys.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, my
Yeah.
phone's going off the hook.
All right. But yeah, well, if you need another hook, you need to get Steve to make you one. So I'm going to order a couple of hooks. So I am. I just hadn't had time to slow down and do it. But I've been looking for some, and we're gonna sling some work your way, and it helps me and it helps you. But
Well,
yeah, man.
this stuff only gets cheaper. Well, aside from inflation. So
Yeah.
the more I do it, the more I focus on it. Like I said, I work as a machinist for a fixture cage right now, so I'm taking that knowledge. Plus, I've got my dad's machine shop available to me if I need it, which I have. I've taken advantage of that a time or two, and so I can. I mean, I come from the mentality of I call it nat mat. Need a tool, make a tool. So I started taking the stuff that I'm learning from my job now with fixtures, and I'm starting to apply it into my own business, to shorten up certain processes. Because I mean, simple stuff like this, for example, this penny scroll at the end, that I can do by hand in like one heat. It's pretty
Yeah.
quick. This twist, that's another heat. And then flattening this dude out right here, that's another heat or so. Now, 3 heats doesn't sound like much, but that's maybe 5 to 8 minutes or so, depending on how well I'm cycling out. And I could reduce that by working on another piece while I'm heating another one up.
Sure.
So, but the problem is getting this loop here consistent, getting that the same shape, the same diameter every time. Because if somebody orders something and they go, "Oh man, my chainsaw handle fit in there perfect. I need to get another one of those because my buddy's got the same model," and I ship it out, and it's slightly closed up, as opposed to the one that then now that
Yeah.
guy's buddy's going to send this one back, and now I'm
Yeah.
out the shipping to send him a replacement. So nobody cares about this loop being handmade. So if I just make a fixture to make sure that just that part alone is consistent, then something like this can stay the same shape every time,
Awesome.
and it's faster. So,
Yeah.
like I said, if I can make a fixture for it to cut out a process or to make a process, dead nuts every time and just nail it every time, then that brings down the labor cost, brings down the cost of the product,
That's cool.
which
Yeah.
I always pass on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And any way we can help you, man, we'll do some advertising for you, man, and try to send people your way and to your store, man. We like doing that. All guests, we do that for all of our guests, and we bring it up during middle of shows and stuff like that, and say, hey, don't forget if you're looking for something, like whether it's the publishing or a place to eat or whatever, we cycle those things through and help others. So we hope that it helps folks when because we want to be that for other people to help them, and we appreciate them and coming on. And uh, I just like I said, I think it's very cool. I had a friend that he had gotten into it, and he didn't stay with it. He kind of got into some other things. It's one of those things where he loves a lot of different stuff, so he tends to go from this to that to the other. But we had went to there's actually a club down here. I don't know if it's still there, but they had basically the club would have a class, and you could join, and then they would actually help you. They would run a little schools and stuff, and some of their folks that would be like considered a master would actually, do schools and teach people how to do their heat, you know, just different things about it, and pass on that knowledge and try to help them. I thought that was pretty cool, and we went to a few of those, but he eventually stopped doing it, and I just got busy and didn't go back. But
Yeah, you
those are
you
cool
mentioned
things.
that. You mentioned that in your email.
Yeah, and I'd never seen nothing like that, but I just thought it was really neat that they did that. Of course, I get it. You want to, as you said, when you're just out there doing it, you're learning as you're doing. But for a couple hours once a month, it was kind of nice to pick the brain of people who had been doing it a long time, and maybe they could help someone avoid some of the pitfalls and stuff. And just sometimes it's just a little idea here and there that speeds up the process or makes it easier, gives you an idea for another project or something like that. So that is very cool, man. Hey, man, we appreciate you being on the program tonight. I know it's a Friday night and you probably got better things to do and be with the Southern Fried, but we really appreciate it, man. We just like
Oh man.
hanging out and highlighting stuff like this. We'll get on here and talk whatever, but we love it when we have people come in and talk about those kind of things. I learn from all of our guests, and I think it actually inspires me in other ways. Not that I would do exactly what they're doing, but I think their story inspires me to think about things a little different or approach things. Because things you were talking about, like you were talking about the management, you were around that. That's pretty amazing that you had that background. So there's a lot of people have great ideas for business and a great idea to do things. They never really get it pulled together right because they don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to do
Mhm.
orders. They don't, I know there are places you can use to help you with that, but there's always a cost to all that stuff. And the more that you can figure out on your own, uh, the better you are. I mean, the cheaper it's going to be. Again, it takes time, but if you've already got sort of that, management kind of style of how to pull a small business together, you're ahead of the game. Because a lot of times, like I said, great businesses die sometimes because they just can't manage. It's the customer service part. They can't manage the product. The shipping's off, the whatever's off, and then they start sort of shortchanging stuff because they're getting behind. Like you said, you made a great point earlier about taking on more than you can really handle, and then you're cheating things another way. Maybe it's lie for family or whatever, but it eventually comes back and it gets you. So starting and building and growing, you can build something that people say, boy, I'd like to be this level, but you gotta spend some time and get there. And that journey is all part of the story. So I think I love that, and I wish you well, man. I hope that it just continues to go. You seem like a person that's going to enjoy, no matter where it went, you're going to enjoy it just because you enjoy doing it. So that's
Oh
a whole
God,
nother
yeah.
part of it. That if it becomes what you want it to become, that's awesome. But even if it didn't, and we're not saying it would, it just if it didn't, you're going to enjoy it because you enjoy doing it. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, most
Oh,
well, you mentioned before, people jumping in too fast on this stuff. When it comes to blacksmithing, in particular, there's one thing that like I was talking about earlier with people jumping too fast and buying up all this equipment before they realize what they're getting into, is that people are so worried about becoming blacksmiths or being blacksmiths that they completely lose sight of learning how to blacksmith. Like there's a
yeah.
big difference. And the blacksmithing community is, although a supportive one, there's also a lot of gatekeepers. There's a lot of people that'll tear other people down. Oh, you're not a blacksmith because you don't know how to make a horseshoe. Oh, you're
Right.
not a real blacksmith because you don't make a sword, Dawn. Or a myriad of other things where it's like you could argue down every point they make. You're not a blacksmith because you don't sell your stuff, so on and so forth. I just ignore that because I mean, in terms of the title blacksmith, I wouldn't even consider myself over an apprentice right now. As far as I'm concerned, I'm still an apprentice.
Right.
But learning blacksmithing, doing blacksmithing, that's what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, enjoy making you a sword.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do that. I mean, that's
She's
gonna be
never
a
gonna get that.
that's gonna be a flame under you till you get her a sword.
Yeah. You're going to have to make David on a sword.
Well, you know what's gonna happen is I'm gonna bust my butt making this thing. I'm gonna get all the equipment together to make it, you know, somewhat profitable to make these things because as it sits, making them by hand, that's not cheap.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna figure all this stuff out. I'm gonna make her sword. I'm gonna go to ship it and say, "All right, give me your address so I can ship it out." And she's gonna go, "Oh, I was just kidding."
Well, I tell you what, if you'll stamp a number in there for number one, if she don't buy it, I will. How about that?
Well, that'll probably be the only one. So I don't need that. I need an O, an N, an L, and a Y because I don't plan on it. I have friends of mine in the blacksmithing community that I've been trying to reach out to. I'd like to collaborate with them because, for example, I have a buddy of mine that lives about 45 minutes away or so. He makes knives. He loves making knives. I'm not. I don't like slashy, stabby stuff. It's just not.
Yeah.
I find it boring to make. I can make it. They're just really boring. But he loves it. So I want to get a hold of him. I should try calling him again. I think his phone's disconnected or something. But I want to see if I can get some of his products in and then just list them on my website and just give him, I'll just take like 10% or something of the profits and I'll take care of shipping and all that stuff for him.
Yeah.
Just to at least, I forgot she said she was going to give it to her son.
So
but then at least I would have some stuff that people like Dawn here want on my website, because some people go on there, they have no interest in that. They're looking for a knife.
Yeah.
So,
well,
just in the interest of expanding inventory.
One of the things that I talked to Dave about the other night, and I talked to you about earlier today, was the development of the flail was one of the big things that came about in the early ages of blacksmithing and stuff like that when they developed the stirrups for the saddles and they could stand up in them and do such as that. But my thing has fallen down again, Dave. So
get up.
Well, I don't know. I need you to make me a blacksmith a boom arm that won't just fall down every little bit. Can you do that?
I was thinking about making one for myself for my shop for when I do my live streams. Because that could be that could be a video, and I could make a video out of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got to keep things interesting. I can't just make a 90-degree bend in a bar and then say, "Look at my amazing video." I got to make it a little more interesting than that.
Well, no,
but
you don't have to. I mean,
how
just
long
make one that works. Don't stay up.
I've got to go watch your videos, but how long do you generally? How long is your videos generally?
I think the longest one is 17 minutes, and that one's absolutely the longest, like by a long shot. The second longest from that is like I think 13 or 12. And my shortest one is only like 2 minutes. It was my first video, and it's embarrassingly amateur and really sloppily done, and it's not very pretty and it's not very interesting. But I keep it up anyway because that's my first video. I'm not too worried about it. I laugh at it. It's kind of my wall of shame thing.
No, that's cool.
And
like I say, you got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you use to edit your videos? What kind of software do you use to do it?
I started off with iMovie because it came with my laptop. I grew up with Apple products, and so I knew about iMovie. Oh boy, I remember I was like 13, 14 years old playing with iMovie. I mean, it was really basic software at the time, but it still had some cool features. And then I just recently, what was the name of that? I always forget it. God, I got because I use Canva for my thumbnails, and I use GIMP. I use GIMP to make my PNG files to overlay stuff. It's Wondershare Filmora is what it's called. And that one, I kind of splurged on that because the software costs $80 for a lifetime seat, or you could pay like $50 a year or something.
Yeah.
I thought, well, just take the 80, like and then leave me alone the rest of my life. Why not? But I haven't used it quite as often. Not yet,
Yeah.
anyway.
That's the thing when you get into that side of it. You like you said, you've got the work you're doing, but then you get into the show part, and everything you do, you think this is a great idea. How can I make that happen? Then you're like, okay, this is what it's going to cost. And is that a once a year cost? Is it a once a month cost? Is it a
I
lifetime
Yeah.
cost? So yeah,
I
that's the
think
thing.
so. Okay, so this is 1 terabyte. I've got these 1 terabyte hard drives.
Uh huh.
I've almost got this one filled up with just video. Because I keep everything. I keep every single second of video that I shoot, even the outtakes, all the stuff. The only stuff I don't keep is the stuff that I forget to delete on the camera. So I'll have 20 clips on the card from my GoPro, and maybe 3 of them are only 2 seconds long. It's from me starting the video and saying audio check, tapping the mic, and I forget to delete those, so I'll get rid of those.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, I keep everything, every still shot, everything, because I want, if something were to happen, because I'm exclusively on Rumble with my videos.
Yeah.
So your YouTube viewers and your Twitch viewers are they're gonna have to suck it up and make a Rumble account if they want to see my work.
Yeah.
But there's a link on my website, by the way, for it says watch here. It'll bring you straight to my Rumble channel.
Yeah.
But they, where was I going with that? Oh, the content. If something were to happen with Rumble, maybe they went the way of like Parler, for example, and they were taken off by Google and Apple Store. If something like that were to happen, then at least I have all my stuff, and so I keep the fully edited videos as well. But at least if I wanted to remake them 2 years, 3 years from now, I could make them better then. Or if I wanted to swap something out, or I just wanted to make a video of nothing but outtakes or something just for fun, then I have all of that.
That's good. That's the thing now. We sort of, cross pollinate, as I like to say, across several streams, and whether they stay there for, excuse me, forever or not. The thought is that we don't know which one of these, because there's been so many creators who have been canceled out. And I remember a friend of mine, he was using the app, and he put thousands of hours of sound bites, stuff that he had wrote on guitar, into this online app, and he didn't know it, but they went bankrupt and they just shut it down, and he lost everything. He had no backup, and he was sick. He said I really felt like just giving the guitar up, but he said after a week I just couldn't do that because I love the guitar. But he said, Dave, I lost a lifetime. He said, I can't get it back. I've talked to them. There's nobody there to talk to, actually. They're just gone. And they didn't tell anybody ahead of time, hey, download your stuff because we're going out of business. They just shut it down. It just went away. And you have to make sure you have a plan like that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you ask me how much that stuff cost me when I started going off on my tangent about my flash drive?
Well, not really how much it cost. I was just, wondering what you were using, but not how much the.
I thought there was. I thought back on it. I thought, did I just not answer his question with a completely different answer?
I was just curious because everybody kind of uses, some people are anti-Apple and some people use this and some people. So I was just curious of what you use, and because and I'm thankful for Rumble. I really am, and we use Rumble, and
well, that's where I found you guys.
Because there's always that danger we could lose the others. You just don't never know. We try not to be any kind of controversial, but who knows who you're making mad, Rob. It could be. You just never know.
Yeah.
You never know. We've had a couple of videos struck. I've appealed them and got them back but they're getting really ticky about stuff. Some of them. I don't want to say a name, but we know who it is.
Yeah.
I went to promote this stream tonight on my X account because I think I gathered up like 1,200 or so followers on there, which means there's like 10 people that are actually paying attention to my account.
Yeah.
But I went to, and it was the damnedest thing. I got off work, I came home, I got my stuff set up, and I'm like, okay, well, let me get some viewers funneled into the Rumble stream, you know?
Yeah.
And so I let a few friends know. I went through some group chats and dropped the link. And I thought, oh, I'll go on my X account. I went on there. I was halfway through typing out the post, and they locked me out of my account.
Oh wow.
For 12 hours. I'm in X jail now because I was advocating for violence. I said that I made a post like 2 months ago. I made a reply about I don't know how family friendly you want to keep it, but people that do bad things to kids should be, we should bring some antiquated punishment techniques for them, let's say, to delete them. But something to that effect in it, and that's all it took. They were like, "Oh, you're advocating violence, and you're," and I thought to myself, "Okay, first off, they're not real people. Those particular types of people, I don't think anybody counts them as people."
You definitely have to be careful with it. I've had a just got a message today from one of them on my personal account that I was one I forwarded, and they found something in there as they've looked at it and said it was a couple things. One, this is not true, and it could be taken as a violent act, and we've just taken it down. Your channel's okay, but if you continue to do stuff like this, blah blah blah. So I got the big smack on the hand. I thought, I don't even remember that post. It was over a year ago. I don't even remember. Almost a year and a half ago. And they came back just now. I thought, what in the world? So now they're going back in your timelines, and or somebody's reported us. I don't know.
That's the thing. It's probably somebody that finally stumbled upon it, because I'll stumble on posts on Facebook from other people from 2 years ago or so.
Yeah.
Whether they're offensive or not, and it's funny because sometimes it's like something like they'll ask a question, they want to interact with their audience, and I'll go to answer the question. It's like, it's been 2 years. I'm pretty sure they got the answer.
Oh yeah.
Nobody's internet connection is that slow. Come on now.
Well, maybe back in the day of AOL.
Yeah. Oh God, I could still hear that digital handshake, that screech. We had cable. We were highfalutin in my neighborhood. We were actually in my town. It was such a small town. We were the first ones. We were the beta testers of cable internet in our town when we first got it.
Wow.
So our internet speeds were screaming back then.
That's cool.
Well, we didn't have that. We had the AOL. Oh my gosh. Well, Dave was around when he had the first internet connection, I think. That was 2 tin cans and a string.
Yep. I was just about to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth. I can't even razz you, man. You do it to yourself before I can get to you.
I was around for it, but I never had it. I was too poor for that. So,
Smoke signals.
Oh, Dave, you'll like this, and I'm sure. What's the proper way to eat a biscuit and gravy? No, I'm asking you.
Not Dave. Give him a little bit of idea of what you're talking about here. He's thinking, what's that?
Oh, you're talking to me, not Dave?
Yeah.
I was waiting for Dave's wrong answer.
Oh, I've got an answer. He don't like my answer.
Well, what's your answer, Dave?
You crumple the biscuit and you put gravy over the top of it.
No. That is stew, sir. That is not sausage, gravy, and biscuits. You have turned it into stew. You know what that is? That's the equivalent of, if you're eating ice cream, if you wait for that stuff to melt, you're no longer eating ice cream, you're eating a milkshake. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Well, I've been trying, biscuits are made from flour. Gravy's got flour in it. So if you want to crumple your biscuit, put it in the gravy, you basically like lumpy gravy.
You're just making extra gravy. You're just adding more gravy volume.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And you know he's a
Now,
real man. He's a blacksmith.
now I may be from the north, but we got boonies up in the north too. Like I said, I grew up in a town. We had 3 pizza places and 1 intersection.
Yeah.
Cool.
One street light, which was that was fancy living right there because our neighboring towns they just had a 4-way stop sign.
Yeah.
You got a street light.
So we had a street light, yes sir.
Hey, we've got a traffic light here in Colquitt, and
Get out of here.
it goes.
Oh, you got the caution light. That's it. You just got the yield light.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, that's the big city right there.
I'm telling you. Oh my goodness. Hey, we've got a Hardee's though. They didn't get one till after I moved away, but now we've got a Hardee's and a Burger King.
Oh, actually, I'm jealous of the Burger King. The one that I actually liked, they shut down, and then the one that was full of hood rats that were all doped out of their gourd, they even shut that one down. I took a gamble there a time or two. I'd have done it again for a Whopper. It's kind of you never know what you're going to find in your burger, but So now I got to drive like 25 minutes to get to a Burger King. It's just unbelievable. It's just white people problems,
Hey, we got to talk 25 minutes. Well, actually, about 30 minutes to get to a Walmart. That's how far out of the boonies I live.
Oh man, yeah, these are definitely first world problems.
Well, I can travel 2 minutes in any direction and find me a Dollar General.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's because when when there's Dollar General bags blowing along the highway, you need to pick them up. Otherwise, they'll start to get seeded into the ground, and that's where those stores grow.
See, I just heard that a couple of weeks ago, and my wife and we've been stopping picking up every Dollar General bag we see.
Yeah, I got one. I have one in walking distance. That one's only a quarter mile down the road.
Oh, now she's getting on all of us.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. Well, wow. Why did I invite you, Don? Why did I give you the link?
You brought your own troll. I mean,
I did.
cool.
I did. I come with trolls. Unfortunately, well, she's only one of 3. There should be 2 more, but one of them's in South Africa. The other one's in Reno. I got trolls all over the world, man.
Yeah, I love it.
We keep all this crying up. She's going to think we're all in the army. Oh, did I say that out loud? I didn't mean that way.
She's whining. She's whining about us whining. That sounds like an extra whole level of whining.
I think so. I do. I think so.
Yeah, that
is. Yeah.
I'm
gonna go get me a Wham burger and some French fries at the.
Someone call 911. We need a Wham ambulance.
we went down to the school today to eat with one of the grandkids. My other, of course, Kaylee, one of my grandkids is with me. She lives with me, and she's back at the elementary school. Of course, she's middle school, so everything is, I'm embarrassing to her, because adults at that age, they're square, they don't know anything, and they're embarrassed.
Well, yeah, it's our job to embarrass kids.
Yeah, she was a little bit a little squirmy, a little bit, whiny and stuff about it was cold and we were waiting for them to open the door and everything. And I said, if you don't sit down, because you know how it is, they'll bump into you, and they hit you, their knee, their elbow, and I'm like, will you sit down and be still? And I looked at her and I said, if you don't sit down and be still, I'm going to stand up in front of all these people. I'm going to say, Kaylee loves this song, and I'm going to sing the Barney song. And her face turned ghost. She said, no, put her hand up to the moment. She believed me. She's like, you can't do that. I would be so embarrassed. I said, then sit down and be still. She said, I will, I promise. I got her attention.
She's officially on all of us now.
She takes no prisoners. I actually, her and two other people. I met them through the one in South Africa and the one out in Reno. They were we all just stuck together in this in the live chat for I don't know if you guys ever heard of Amala Epinobi. She's that younger black girl that works with PragerU, or at least she used to work with PragerU.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went independent, started her own thing, and so me and Diva Dawn there and two others, we all just kind of, you know, you know, hung out in the chat, in the live chat, and we were such regulars that after a while we just kind of like got together over on Instagram and started a group chat there. And it's so I dropped the link in there, and guess Diva Dawn's the only one that didn't have anything to do tonight.
Oh,
That was kind of a shot right there. Like we didn't have nothing to do with
Hey,
Friday night.
honestly, she's got more of a social life than I do. I can't even say that. I can't even talk smack for that one. I've been sober for 9 years. My Monday nights are more exciting than my Friday night.
well, amen to the sober thing. I've been sober for 2 or 3, and Dave's been sober for years and years.
About 30.
Nice.
I wasn't that big of a drinker anyway, but it affects my seizure meds, so I had to swear it off completely. It's just fine. I don't miss it.
I had a friend of mine. He was when I finally quit. He was in prison at the time, and a couple of years later, he got out. When we were hanging out together on his first day out, he said, "So I heard this guy's pulled me out of a lot of fires before he got locked up. Back when I was still qualifying for AA, and he told me, he said, so I heard you quit drinking finally." And I said, "Yep, it's been a couple of years now. I got a couple of years sober." And he said, "Oh, that's good, man, because you weren't good at it." And I said, "Oh, no, sir, that's where you're wrong." I said, "I was very good at it. I was just terrible at stopping."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like driving a Formula One race car with no brakes.
Yeah.
Okay. This leads to where we could ask questions, but I'm not going to, because the answer may not be family friendly, and we're going to keep it family friendly, and we're going to, okay.
Sounds like the question wouldn't be family friendly, but okay.
Almost, yeah. Leave it on. Congratulations for being able to do 2 things at once. I hope it's walking and chewing bubble gum, and we'll let her go at that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be blonde, would you?
I'm sorry?
No, Diva. Was she blonde?
No, I had to think about that for a second.
Okay. Well, I won't tell my blonde joke then.
Well, you still tell the joke. I mean,
I can? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
There was this blind guy walked into a bar, and he didn't realize, but it was all women bar. It was one of those bars, and he didn't know it. And he walked up to the bar and got him a beer and said, "Do y'all want to hear a blonde joke?" Well, there's a big gal behind the bar there, bartender, and she said, "Well, I'll have you know I'm blonde, and I'm 6 foot something, and I could probably just break you." And this lady over here that's shooting pool, she's a black belt, she's a blonde, and I'm pretty sure she could break you. Said, there's 3 or 4 gals over there, they're pretty tough too. They're in a biker gang, and all of them are blonde. She said, "Do you really want to tell that joke now?" He says, "No, no, no. I'm sorry. I don't want to have to explain it that many times."
Yeah. It took me a second to remember, but yeah, I heard that one a while back.
So yeah, that's my blonde joke.
I got blonde jokes, but they're not family friendly. So
yeah, the only other one I have that's remotely family friendly is, how do you drown a blonde?
I haven't heard that one yet. How?
You put a scratch and sniff sticker on the bottom of the pool.
Oh my God, I think I did hear that one. Man, it's just been that long that I didn't even remember it, man.
Oh yeah, I'm just that old.
Boy,
Yeah.
last time I heard that one, I kicked the slats out of my crib.
Well, the first time I heard it, I probably helped you. Oh,
You said you weren't doing a video every every week now. Is it like every 2 weeks or
Yeah, at this
uh,
point, it's been every 3 weeks for the
every
past
3 weeks?
two videos or so. Um, I honestly, I think my next one, I don't think I'm even going to fire up my forge for the next one because I started off about 3 videos ago, minus my Halloween spooktacular. Um, a few videos ago, I started into instructional videos,
Yeah,
just teaching people just simple stuff. I covered various twists, decorative twists that you can do. Um, Scroll work, how to do scroll work, which is just the loops. So I covered those. I think I screwed up the sequence though. Looking back on it now, I should have started at the beginning. If somebody was to watch my videos with absolutely no experience, no equipment, no nothing, like we were talking about before, how you could do uh, some work with such bare minimum stuff. I think I might do a video just covering that, just covering like how to get started, what equipment you
yeah,
could use, because I'd love the whole point of the channel. Well, I should say it's a half and half. Half the reason for the channel is promoting my work, so I can make some money off of this and stop just sinking money into it, which is definitely in the thousands now. Um, well, that's half the reason. The other half is just to share my work, and because, like I said, it took a Discovery Channel special on casting gold for me to start down a 2-year path that eventually led to this stuff.
yeah.
So if I'd have known about this stuff when I was a teenager, I might not have even had money to become an alcoholic. So who knows?
Yeah.
If I look at it that way, but you know.
I got it.
So so let's project out. Like you don't do this, but if you did, just for what what if? Let's say you were making a armor for a knight. A knight. You've made the armor. What would be the symbol that you would put on there to mark your work? That it would be you. Would it be the half pound, or
Oh,
would you have an idea for something else?
I do actually. I have they're called a touch mark. For blacksmiths and gunsmithing and stuff, it's called a touch mark when you stamp your logo or something.
Yeah.
Now, I have one. Oh boy, it's been a while since I worked on this project. Where did I put it? Uh, well, phooey. Yeah. Oh, in the file called Touchmark Project. That might help. Dummy. What is wrong with me? Let's see now. What's this button do?
That's kind of scary when you say that. What's this button do? And you hit it. It's like I just get this image of a guy sitting on top of a nuclear warhead at the little post out in Iowa somewhere, and say, "What does this button do?"
Yeah, right.
And hits it.
Dude, you should change the keys on your keyboard to where it makes a sound like a hammer striking every time you type.
Oh, that would be cool.
I like the way you think, sir.
Ding, 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 ding.
I like that. Oh, see, now it'll only let me use PDFs. I'm not getting into that. But I could do this. I could do this the cheap way, though. Here, I'll do this a little ghetto style here, and just spin this around if I can. You guys got to let me know if this is on screen or not, or on camera. I got a lot of cables hanging here.
Oh, we can see it.
But yeah, that's essentially what I'm going here. That half pine more or less, and then my original touch mark was this S and P for my initials, so an S, and then that line creating the P with the bottom part of the S.
Very
So
nice.
that's what I have in mind. I already priced it, and This stuff ain't cheap to have custom stamp work done, and I could do it myself, but oh, good grief, that's out of my wheelhouse. That's a whole other discipline of metal work in general that
Yeah.
I can't even, I don't have time to start into. So I got to hire somebody to do it. The last quote I got was, I think, $275 for one stamp.
Wow.
About, I want to say about 3/4 of an inch tall. And I would probably need two of them, one for smaller work and one for bigger stuff that I could have a bigger logo on. That would have more real estate for me to actually stamp.
Right. That's cool.
But yeah, that would probably be what would be on my hypothetical suit of armor,
Okay.
right
And it's
on the chest
this
like
way.
a Superman S.
Yeah. So, the only reason I was thinking about this out of the movie. That's what went down that road. I just want to ask if you're a fan of a movie, the movie A Knight's Tale, which is a comedy. But
Oh yeah,
I love that
I
movie.
I know
As
exactly what you're thinking about too. Right when you say that, those little swoops.
Yeah, yeah. I love that movie. I could watch it every time it's on. But I think about that, the
Now
armor smiths and stuff that they were talking to.
now that movie, and I can give you guys a little glimpse into the future because there's all kinds of content that I want to make blacksmithing wise. I want to stick with the instructional videos. I'm already doing the 10-minute watch me do something cool and make a goof out of myself, for 10 minutes. I already have those style of videos. I want to get into mythology videos. So a quick episode on this, this god of blacksmithing and this historical figure on blacksmithing, so on and so forth. And I also want to get into reaction videos with video games and movies, kind of like pointing out the inaccuracies of Hollywood and what they got right, kind of like a rating system. And that specific movie is what motivated me to have that idea in the first place, was that woman blacksmithing.
Yeah,
The one thing that stands out, and it bothers me every time I see it. If you watch that movie again, when they first meet her, where they're talking to all the other blacksmiths and they won't work for cheap,
yeah,
and they point out her, oh, maybe the girl blacksmith will do it because she's a girl. This girl over there, cooties. When they first start walking up to her, she's working on a horseshoe, and she's working on an anvil that she could damn near rest her chin on. She's doing it like this.
you're right.
And,
I never
and
thought
all
about that.
and the whole time I'm thinking, girl, you are going to screw your shoulder up for good.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be Quasimodo in a year. And it bothers me so much because there's a specific measurement. You're supposed to stand next to your anvil with relaxed shoulders, and you're supposed to make a fist, and your knuckles right here are supposed to rest on the face of that anvil. That is the standard height for an anvil. That's what it
Okay.
should be. And obviously it's different with everybody. Some shorter people, theirs will be lower. But proportional to your body, that's where it should be. Not at your shoulder itself.
That's Hollywood for you. But that's right. I didn't think about that. I always
Mm-hmm.
thought it looked awkward when I saw the movie, but I didn't think into it that deep. I just thought it looks
Yeah.
it looks weird, when you first see it even.
I
Doesn't
don't
look
know what
right.
they were thinking with that scene. There had to have been somebody that knew better. They had to have somebody that was consulting.
I think they wanted to set up to where it looked like the woman was that small and having to reach up do man's work or whatever. But she was,
Actually, I think they were trying to put the hot steel in the same frame as her face for the shot. I think they were just trying to emphasize, oh, look, this is a girl with the braided hair down. This is a girl doing manly stuff. How revolutionary. I think that's what they were going for, but it's like, you could have done that way better, man. Just bring the camera down lower and do an upshot, do something.
It's funny you say that because I think everybody who has an interest in something, they find something like that in a movie. There's a friends of mine, they've done cavalry in Civil War reenacting and just riding anyway. They love horses and everything. And there's a scene in the movie Gods and Generals where they have the general or maybe one of the couriers riding up, and the way he rides up and stops the horse, it drives people that deal with horses crazy.
Yep.
They say you don't do your horse like that. It's a bad scene, and they can't stand it. They said it really about ruins the movie for me because you just don't do
Yep.
your horse that way.
Yeah, I grew up around horses. I've never seen the movie, but just describing it, I can picture what you're saying. And yes, you do not.
Yeah, I would injure the
You
horse.
don't do the horse that way. Yep.
Yeah, it's just and I understood what they were saying, but yeah, you have a passion for something. You're like, come on, you wouldn't do that. And that's where, I try not to pick a movie apart, but some things are so egregious, you're like, that's bad. I mean, like, that's really bad.
For me, it's firearms.
Oh, yeah.
Firearms are the number one Hollywood war crime of script writing. It is just absolutely atrocious. Some of the stuff that I stand by that suppressors would not be regulated under the NFA to this day if it weren't for all of the James Bond special effects sounds of pew pew pew. It's like, dude, that is not what they sound like. Like, come on. I knew a guy who was, oh boy. Don's going to hate me for this one. He was in the Army, so this explains why he didn't know any better. But he should have had experience with it, or at least known somebody who did. And he used that classic line that we've all heard. I'm pro Second Amendment, but ... It's like, dude, if you've got that but followed by an ellipses, you're not a pro Second Amendment person. I'm sorry.
Right.
But if you're going to start qualifying it, then you're just not.
Right.
So, but he said, "Oh, I'm pro Second Amendment, but suppressors, that's for door kickers like me." And I'm like, I don't think. He said, "Why should you have something where you could snuff somebody out and nobody will hear?" I said, "Dude, my closest." Yeah, oh yeah, I did. Absolutely, I did. I went there, came back, got the T-shirt and everything.
And is happy about it.
That's what you get. So,
Yeah.
but my closest neighbors to my house, I don't live that far out anymore. I live in the suburbs now. But my closest neighbor is about 50 yards out or so. He would wake up. I could be in my basement and he could be on the other side of his house. He would still hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah.
Pun intended. Shots fired.
Hey, one good thing about it though, David, if he does make you a sword, you don't have to have a silencer for that.
It's true. That was the argument I used with him. I told him, I said, dude, I could snuff somebody out with a crossbow. That doesn't need a suppressor, and that actually is quiet enough to where nobody will know.
Yeah. So, David, I'm just saying, David, I know you were in the Army too, so you won't need a silencer for that. Just hold it out there.
Well, Steve, we really appreciate you being on. We're getting near the end of our normal time frame for our show. We hope you'll come back and tell people how they can find your channel and anything you want to tell them before we get off here. And thanks for hanging out with us, man. It's been a blast. You gave us a lot of good stuff tonight. We can't thank you enough. But tell them about how to find you, because obviously you're not here all the time, and you have your own channel. Tell them how to find it.
Absolutely. You can find, you got it on the lower third there scrolling by halfpineforge.com, and that acts as sort of a quick and easy way to remember, a central hub of all of my stuff. That's where everything's going to be linked to, with the exception of my X account, just because on X that's where I let my freak flag fly. I let the language fly there, and I don't want that reflecting to the wholesomeness of my channel. But yeah, that's got links on the home page of halfpineforge.com. You can find the Watch Me button, which will bring you to my Rumble account. There's a Facebook link to my Facebook business page and my Instagram page, although those last two I'm not as active on. Trying to keep up with it. And then, of course, if you need to get a hold of me, you can find me through the contact me page. It's linked up to my cell phone. Trust me, it it lets me know when I have an email. I have it set up so I don't miss emails.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
I don't think Diva wants you to miss her comments either. So I'm trying to keep up. Uh, Now, she didn't say if you were like an Oscar Mayer wiener or a Wiener wiener or a beef frank. I don't know. She didn't go into details. So
God, now I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head the rest of the night. Thanks for that.
you're welcome.
The
Hey,
Oscar Mayer
hey,
song.
hey, if you don't want that stuck in your head, I have a different one.
If you
Phenomenon.
stuck. Toot, 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 toot.
Phenomenon.
Yeah,
You got you all up.
I told her a million times. So get her sword when I finish building my treadle hammer. I'm close.
Okay.
I got a couple trips to the steel yard first, and I got to have my brother bring over his welding rig, so I can get some. There's going to be some serious welding on that.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
so
talking like 3/8 inch, half-inch thick steel. Steel I-beam, 6 foot high steel I-beam for the back of it. It's a serious piece of equipment, but it'll move some metal.
yeah, well, that'll do it. So, well, we are so glad you came on tonight. I had a ball. Uh,
Yeah, it
Hey,
was
Dave,
fun.
I'm sorry I got called away a couple of times. My phone's going nuts. So people don't realize, hey, he's podcasted tonight.
They forget.
But sometimes you still have to take, which we do. This is our third show today.
Oh yeah, I remember you said something about having 3 spots or
Well,
multiple spots throughout the week and certain days.
yeah, this is third one today, but we do on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do at least 2 shows a day.
Hmm.
That's just the lives. So yeah, we've got our gifts in life too. We got the gift of gab. We can talk.
Oh
So
man, you get me
yeah.
started
Yeah.
on guns or metal, and I'll never shut up.
If you ever decide to make a flail, let me know. 'Cause I might be interested in having one.
I know I can make the links just fine. Trying to think of how I would. You know what? Don't get me started on that right now. Like I said, man, both of you will be womp 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 while I'm sitting
He,
here
he's
in
not
my
gonna be
own
able to
head trying
sleep
to.
tonight. His brain's gonna be going, engineering this out all night long.
Between trying to figure out the flail and what kind of wiener he is. I mean,
Oh, oh.
Well, my baloney has a first name, so.
and it's phenomenal. Well, thank you for being on with us tonight. We do greatly appreciate it. And y'all check out porch.com, and that's where all his links is. Follow him, like him. I don't know how they do that on follows on Rumble. Is that subscribe or follow or
Rumble is follow. Yeah, like and
Yep.
follow.
yeah, like and follow. So, and
Yeah,
anytime you want to come back on, if you just want to come on and hang out, you come on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely, man. I got no life, and I work first shift, so.
Well,
Dave's the
we're
same way.
you're always welcome, and we're always here. We'll chat about whatever.
Absolutely.
We'll have to think of some more movies where they've made some gaffes on the smithing part, and see if we can't highlight that.
Oh,
Now I'm
trust
gonna
me,
be paying attention to that.
I'll root them out. You want one more to go?
Yeah,
One for the
yeah. Give
road.
us one for
Is
the
it the
road.
Lord of the Rings one?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly where I was going. That is exactly which one. The Lord of the Rings one, where they're putting together that sword.
Yes.
It's like a word of the day thing with Diva in the comments, man. Sword. so, so when they're putting together that ancient sword that was shattered and they got all the pieces and they're whacking away at it. If you look at it, they got all the pieces butted up against each other. If you were to take 2 items butted up against each other, you put pressure down right here, what do you think is going to happen?
The ends are going to turn up.
No, they're going to push away from each other. You're
That's right.
smacking them right in between. There's no metal in between, So what are they just sprinkling magical elf dust on there? That's going to act as a filler material or a flux.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
That part drives me nuts. You would just be sending the shards flying off the anvil if you did it that way. You have to have an overlap.
Yeah.
Ooh,
They're
man.
1,000-year-old elves. And it's
Yeah.
a movie.
Yeah, and it's a movie. Oh.
Yeah, that was just lazy writing.
You're welcome. Yeah.
They could have done better. But yeah, next time you watch that movie, think about the way they got. They're not even touching. They're kind of separated. It's
Yeah, there was a gap there.
drives me nuts.
Still one of my favorite movies. But
yeah, mine too. It's just that part I have to fast forward through. But yeah, keep an eye out on the channel. I should have some of those reaction videos coming eventually.
All right. Well, if you ever make it down this way, we'll take you out and we'll go look for green eyes. Me and David's gonna go, not green eyes, but the lady in white. Me and David's gonna do that here in a couple of weeks.
Lady in white.
Yeah, that's the famous ghost we have down here. She's at the Whites Creek Bridge.
I think I remember something about didn't Survivor Man do something about that? Didn't he go like camping or something in that area? Or
I don't know.
I remember something like that.
Survivor Man would have to fear around here.
Yeah.
Stray bull, maybe get out of the pasture. I don't know. Right. Well, everybody, y'all like Father. Glad y'all joined in with us tonight. We've had a pretty good crew most of the night, and we enjoy it. And y'all like, follow, subscribe, do your thing. We appreciate it. And we will, if you'll hang on just a second there, we're going to shut her down and we will chat for just a second there. All right. Y'all have a great night. We'll see y'all next time.
Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast.